everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where in the world you are. Welcome. It's lovely to see you again. And let's start by getting into the superpower state first. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and get into your superpower state however you do that. So repeating a word or phrase, or imagining hugging your subject. And start to feel that sensation in your chest. Feel your heart opening. That light shining out from your heart. That light or energy. And now imagine it filling all the cells of your body. Love each cell just for existing. Very good. And now think of the little you, and let that light or energy fill that little you, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head, out to their fingertips. Love that little you just for existing. And now fill your subject with that same light, that energy, that love. Love them just for existing. And now imagine they don't want to be with you. So they reject you, or they're miserable, whatever's going on. And maintain that state of unconditional love. So keep them filled with that light, that energy. Love them anyway, no matter what. Very, very good. And now allow that light or energy to overflow and fill the whole group. Everybody in this group. Fill everyone with that same light, that energy, that love. Love everyone just for existing. Very good job. And you can open your eyes. All right, so let's check in with each person, finding out how you're doing, and if you have any questions or you have a target for today to add to the list. And I have a target to add to the list today as well. So actually I should write that down so I don't forget. All right, so let's start with Wanda. Hi Wanda, how are you today?
Good, and you?
Very good, thank you.
So I have everything. I have a request for target, and it's on body pain, and I have different body pain, a different one every week, or the same for years.
Okay.
And I was watching the recording for Friday, and when you explain about disease, that it doesn't matter what you eat, that it doesn't have to do with your eating. Mm-hmm. It reminded me back in 2015 when I got sick, and I was saying, how come I got sick if I do everything right? I eat right, I exercise, I sleep well, all that stuff. And my sisters, they don't do anything. They don't do exercise. They don't care. They just live their life. And so how come, I was questioning myself, how come I got sick?
Yeah.
And then when you said about your mental state, my mental state was not good at the time.
There you go.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So that it kind of like, oh, okay, I understand that part now.
That's
so
it. Oh, good. I'm glad
yeah.
that resonated with you. Very good.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is a request.
Yes.
I know that every day you record like the part to go to your power state, like the 5th day. That one, if you could, I don't know if you could do it again, but that's the one I do the most, the one for the 5th day. But then it stopped and I said like, okay, did it finish? Okay. Oh yeah, I finished. So I could
Okay.
get kind of like it ends and then I don't know when it ends. So I don't know if you
Okay.
could do that. If not, then I mean it's not a problem. I just fall asleep
So
anyway.
yeah, no, that's okay. So what would you like? What would be helpful there? Something at the end saying, and
Kind
now,
of like, you know, I just say open your eyes and
okay,
that's it. And because
yes,
I know I said I open it, it's
I'm sure
done.
we can.
And
I'm sure we can do that. I think the original idea was that some people will take some people will hold it for longer than others, but we can do a version where we can say that's, you can open your eyes now.
okay, thank you.
Is that
That's
okay,
it.
Steve? You got that? Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Wanda. And so your target is pain.
Pain.
Steve will get that. Okay, so that we'll do that.
Thank you.
Definitely. All right. Thank you. Very good. And next on my screen is Katrina. Good morning, Katrina. Or good afternoon. How are you today?
Hi, Ode. How am I? What is this? I'm perplexed by an event that happened again
Okay.
over the weekend for the 12th time, say.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just 4 sentences. A promise made, sworn, never to be broken. The biggest piece is being betrayed by them not keeping their word. And I was made to feel unimportant in that moment when I was longing to be praised, shown love and affection. And then I've written here, and I've never really seemed to have experienced the love and affection or something since Charmian. And then, so am I actually preventing, without knowing the whole essay, am I actually blocking this myself?
Well, a combination of things. So when we've got a program that is, I don't get praise and acknowledgement, whatever that is, whatever happens in the world, I'm the kind of person who doesn't get it. And that would be from childhood, established through childhood experiences. Perhaps there's something like other people get praised and I don't, or I'm not important enough. So whatever's going on in there, what your subconscious will do then is do whatever it takes to recreate that state, because it's supposedly normal. And there are different ways of doing that. So attracting the kind of people who that's how they are is one way, or getting into the kind of work that's what you experience. Or it could be that we're putting out unnoticeable signals that aren't noticeable to the conscious mind. So tone of voice, expressions, the way the posture, whatever, that kind of stops people from doing that. So that, and it's all unconscious. And finally, another way of doing it is that people do praise us, but we cannot hear it, and we cannot process it because it's so the opposite to that program. And I'll give you an example. My mum, bless her heart, if she would say something, or she'd tell us a new idea or whatever, and I would go, oh, that's great. And she'd go, oh, you don't like it. You don't think it's good. It's like, I just said it's great. But because of her program, she needed more. You know what I mean? She needed more reassurance. Now, it could be one of those, or it could be a combination of them. And sometimes it could be one sometimes and something else another time, and a combination. So it's not like a rule. The way to sort it out, though, is the end goal you're aiming for is that you don't even think about it. You don't need anybody else's anything, because you feel, in other words, confidence, real, authentic, genuine confidence comes from knowing I'm good enough, not believing I'm good enough. And you know something by the proof, the evidence in your childhood. So the way to do it is, what's the, of course, change those childhood memories, create new childhood memories where you are being praised. There's never any question about how wonderful you are and how valuable you are. And remember that it may not just be about being praised. It may be value. It may be being ignored or whatever. So create new childhood memories. If you have memories where you know you weren't, it was the opposite, change those, practice those new ones. So, and of course, use the superpower. So get into the superpower state first, send it all love, especially you, and then go to your childhood and fill that with the superpower, and then create those new memories. So that, because what's happening right now is whenever you're in that kind of situation, your subconscious is referring to whatever happened in your childhood, whatever proof is there that proves that you're not good enough and you're needing reassurance, or it's referring to the fact that you don't get praise. Everybody else gets praise, you don't, or whatever that is. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, I hear all that, but I think it was the fact that you've promised, and I have believing.
Okay.
You know, I really trust.
Very good. Yeah, and that's I was very much that was one of my things as well. I take things literally, and if somebody says something, I believe them, and you know, that was definitely one of my strongest programs. So again, because the ultimate goal here for all of us is to never be at the mercy of anything or anyone outside ourselves, and we cannot have control over someone else. We can't make them do anything. We can't make them say anything or feel anything. And we cannot make them live up to their promises. So the ultimate goal is to be able to feel good and get on with enjoying your life regardless of what someone else does. But that is difficult because there's the principle thereof, and that is coming from childhood. So what I did, and what you can do as well, is you know, what is the feeling? So someone promises something and you believe them, and then they don't follow through on it. What's the feeling there? And then find that feeling in your childhood. It may or may not be to do with promises. You get that?
I'll try that.
Yeah. So think about, like, for me, the feeling was, so to give you an example, for me, the feeling was, I'm being good. I understand, I believe that if I'm good, I won't get into trouble, and I'm doing it. I'm being good, and why am I still? So it's that I believe you, and yet you know, I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get for believing. That was my one. So then going back to childhood, of course, there was all kinds of stuff of, you know, thinking I'm doing the right thing and getting into trouble anyway, and all of that. So I changed all of that. And what can help with that, what can help the conscious mind with that, is understanding that whatever the other person is doing, no matter what it is to do with their programming. They're on automatic. So they are not deliberately doing anything. They're just on automatic, and they do, you know, it's like a cat killing a mouse. It's not nice, but it's what cats do. So it's kind of like that. So that can help the conscious mind while you're changing. And then you want to get to the point where you're not relying on that person. You know, they promise something, you go, well, yeah, sure, you know, we'll see. But you're not feeling that kind of, and that feeling is coming from childhood. So you change that in your childhood, and then you won't have that feeling anymore. And then you can be strategic. Then if it's something important or something that they do need to do, you can be strategic about how you negotiate with them, how you communicate with them, and go, okay, listen, I understand that you didn't do that. So from now on, this is what needs to happen, or whatever it is, but it's calm, it's strategic, it's compassionate, it's not emotional. Does that make sense?
I wanted to say just a couple of words about that belief system that may also be there. So as I was listening to Katrina talking about that, or telling her story, you know, the question, am I doing this to myself? Am I sabotaging myself? I was resonating with, there was a belief system there for me growing up as a kid that people are always trying to take advantage of me. You know, so, and I now recognize, having gone back and done some work on that, that was not only what I learned or what I felt as a kid, but it was also a family system kind of a thing that I remember my parents, I remember my grandparents saying similar things, that they're out to get me. There's that feeling of people are trying to take advantage of me. So what I'm getting at is that sometimes those belief systems, or sometimes those patterns, we can also end up inheriting just by watching how our parents react to something, how they ended up feeling. So that feeling, and I'm kind of hearing, I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but that feeling of betrayal, people not following through with what they did, may have also been something that you picked up by watching how people were treated in your family, or the belief system that they had as well. So just a couple more words, a couple more things to be looking for in your childhood as you're going back and looking for those, trying to sort through where the foundation is of that.
Wow, yeah.
Does that help? But the main thing above it all is to get into the superpower state and fill it all with unconditional love first. Because right now, you're triggered. So that part of your brain is offline right now. There's no, your blood is not being sent there. So, and that's okay. And I'm saying this for everybody else as well. When you get into a triggered state, you know, understand that, yeah, so I'm triggered right now, and that's okay. It's not, I'm not doing anything wrong, but it means that part of my brain is not online. So I'm just going to bookmark this for later. I'm going to, what do they say? I'm going to put a pin in it. And I'm going to put a pin in this issue or this thing or this experience or event, and I will come back to it when I've got my prefrontal cortex back online. Now I'm going to go and do whatever it takes to get it back online, to get to a state where I'm feeling good. So I'm going to put that aside for now. I'm not letting it, you know, I'm not letting it go or ignoring it or anything. I'm just putting a pin in it. Do whatever it takes. If you watch comedy, listen to music, do an activity, do the superpower, whatever it takes. And then once you're feeling in a good emotional state, that means that that part of your brain is back online. Then you can take that pin out and have a look at it again and go, okay, now I will take action, because now I'm in a strategic state and I'm able to do it. And that applies to looking for changing childhood memories as well.
Should I write the letter, one of those letters?
The due justice letter, I would say try changing the childhood memories to where you were praised, you were valued, you were whatever that, the opposite to that experience of being believing something and they don't follow through, or whatever's there. Change it to the opposite, positive and empowering. If you get stuck and you find you can't, it won't change, or you can't find any memories or something like that, then write the due justice letter, but write it to those people from childhood, because whoever it is now that's doing it, it's not about them, it's about the original crew, the original cast. It's coming from the original cast, and so you address them first, then you can address the current situation, whatever that is. Does that make sense?
They seem very alien to each other, but maybe when I step back from it.
Yes, yeah, and sometimes it does seem completely disconnected, but if you remember that we cannot experience anything now that we don't have a reference for, some reference, even if it's not the same. So that's why we always say maybe a different topic, but will be the same feeling. So it, whatever that feeling is, follow the feeling back. Does that help?
Well, it was about 1,000 feelings went off in the explosion.
Okay, all right. And that's why you want to get into a good feeling state first, into the superpower state first. So you've got your cognitive thinking online, and then you can go, okay, I'm going to start with this one, or this is the main one, because you'll be able to access the part of your brain that can strategize and organize and be, strategic. All right.
Brilliant. Yes.
And I'm glad you came today. So you're in the right place. Well done for turning up.
Thank you.
That's important. All right. Very good. Thank you, Katrina. And so going on to next on my screen, Bogiswava. Oh, Tina today. Tina Turner. I love that. Very good.
Yeah, somebody said I can be Tina. I like the name Tina. I don't have to be Tina Turner, but I can.
It's a good name. How are
Easy
you?
for everybody, right? Okay, I'm doing okay. I think the last target I asked you guys, the target to make me exercise.
Oh, yes.
You sent the love for that to me, so thank you so much. I think it's working. I was more like, I feel like to do exercise more than ever.
Good.
And I would like the same thing today as a target.
Very good.
So I will see how it will be later on.
Fantastic.
And I have a question, like, how can I find from my childhood what caused that I don't like to do exercise? Even at school, I remember I was so good at sport. I could do anything, whatever I touch, whatever I did, I play and everything. I was so good, but I never liked to do the warm stuff before anything. I like to jump into the deep ocean directly. So I don't know why. And now today, the same thing. It's just, I don't know, a kind of like, I don't like it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. The first thing that I would say is that there's a certain amount of normal in that, I think. Especially as a child, you don't want to be doing scales and, stretching and everything. You want to get on with the fun stuff. So I think that there's a certain amount of normal there as well. But then added to that, for it to carry through to the extent where it stops you from doing it, there, I would say there must be a reference there. So I would say, what's the feeling? So if you think about doing the warm-up now, what's the feeling behind it? How does it feel?
It's kind of, I feel like struggling. And when I'm thinking about it, where was in my childhood, it's taking me to when I was learning something. I was so struggling to learn things. Yeah. But this is kind of big. I wanted to work before on that problem because it was always big problem until now. I have to study all the time new product from work. Yeah. And I just can't do it. I don't remember. I struggle with this, the same thing. So how can I fix that? It's a big problem.
So again, getting into the superpower state first and filling it all with the superpower state, and then think back to your childhood where the earliest memory of struggle, the earliest memory of that feeling of struggle, whatever that is, and change that to the opposite, positive and empowering, and then work your way forward. Again, staying in the superpower state as much as possible.
Yes, I tried that. I don't know where was that problem.
Well, because I'm aware we don't want to do too much detective work here because this is mostly for the superpower state. And I know that, the memories, I realize I can't not mention memories and things because that it is all part of it. But we won't do any detective work right now going into it. I think, so it come back to us with that in the sessions, if that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, good. And then we can help you find it specifically. Okay. All right, good job. And so let's have a look. Amy, hello.
Oh,
how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I would like, was it an intention for having the voice to speak to my employer contract. I'm in the process of ending it. It's not working for me.
Right.
And I realized this weekend, I went back to looking at the photos of myself when I was younger and feeling the unconditional love for her. And while I didn't write my due justice letter yet, I was still present to the feelings behind that. And so, yeah, I was realizing that I need to step in and take care of her as she deserved and is loved. And I also then went to the feelings of how my health has developed because I didn't speak my voice. And so I realized even when I accepted the position I'm in, the contract position with my, well, I'm not going to call him my boss because I'm sorry, phone. Anyway, I realized even back then I didn't speak what was important to me and accepted it anyway. And so the not having a voice and staying small just so my parents would love and accept me was huge, because I realized that they didn't want me to look too big because then it affected them. And so I stayed small just because of security, thinking that, you know, I would lose them. So that really was like a huge aha this weekend of how I need to stand up for me and what's important, and not let it affect my health and my well-being for someone else. So. Mm-hmm.
Perfect, Amy. That's brilliant. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. And you'll find that writing the due justice letter around around being able to speak out is going to be massive. That'll create a massive shift.
Yes. So,
excellent. I'm so proud of you. Well
Thank
done.
you. I went through the unpleasant emotions and and it led me to that. So
very good. And let us know how the due justice letter goes.
Thank you. I will do that.
If you write more than one. Very good.
Thank you.
And so did you have a target for today, or?
The target is basically my, health, and then just having the voice to speak about my job, just the right words to say. And so, it's the health symptoms, letting go of that fear, and then
very
the job
good.
contract. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll do that. Good job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing? Good, sounds like.
Very
Tina especially. So first, I'm a little bit late. I'm sorry. I got a call from the social worker from hospice. She was doing a check-in call, and we actually talked on the phone for over an hour because I wasn't even really talking. She was telling me all about everything that's going on with, they've lost 70 patients this month, and just how difficult it's been. And, so I was very happy to hear from her, and she was offering support to us as a family. But I told her that today I would ask everyone to target them, the hospice family. They're really working so hard, taking care of so many people and trying to communicate with families as their loved ones are dying. They're trying to be there, and they're also trying to communicate with families to what's going on. And I think it's really hard for them to feel lifted up in this situation, because there's not that many people in the hospice group. So I just would like everyone to help, target some with love. And then I just wanted to mention that I've noticed with me, as I've been doing the coursework, that I am having, it's typical of me to have this memory issue sometimes, like I'll forget about things. Like I have a picture of myself in college when I was pledging a sorority. We all had to dress up as something during Hell Week, and they had me be an appointment book because I always would miss appointments. So Sunday, which was yesterday, I missed church but I was sitting right there waiting for church to start while it was going on. So I just having this, I call it a brain fart, but it seems to be happening again, like where I'm getting flooded with forgetfulness.
Right.
So I'm working on that. Luckily, I remembered to, I'm
glad you remembered to come here. Yes, exactly.
I was thinking church was at 11 because this is always at 11, but church was at 10. So.
All right.
And I want to say thank you to everyone because I really look forward to coming and seeing everyone. I feel like you're all good friends, and I am excited to put together that collage very soon. So if anyone else wants to send childhood pictures, I'm excited about the project.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for sharing. And it's always lovely to see you. And so, Steve, you've got the targets. They're fantastic. Thank you. Very good. And then Ashley. Hi, Ashley. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Sorry, I hopped on a bit late.
That's all right.
But yeah, super glad to be here.
Good.
So yeah, thanks for your email, by the way. So I really appreciate that. I find for me the color, like I'm in a totally different state. The color code, whatever you call it, like focusing on the color.
Yes.
Really working, because before I found, and I knew when I get in that negative spin of thinking, it doesn't serve me at all. And I know then I go down to everything starts flooding. So and I know that's not helpful at all. But I think it's because I was in it like the past year, like I just shut everything and was in that state. So, and you know, a new habit takes 60 days. So I know like coming out of that, like it wasn't necessarily always typical for me, but the past year it got me on this new habit. And I was like, this isn't the way I want to continue, because I'm usually not that way. So it was, a bit. So anyways, I find the color technique working really well to focus on the colors. And then, so then back to the subconscious, I find for me, like if I'm having some sort of thoughts or something's coming up about for me, and I know I've talked to Steve with this, and it's what I'm going to work with in the program. A lot of my stuff with my mom. So if it's coming up, you know, like your whatever things that she would say, the subconscious is looking for reference to, and that's where when I talk about the sexual guilt or shame, this was all younger, like teenage years, because she would always say, you're a bitch, you're a whore, you're a slut, blah, blah, blah.
That'll do it.
But I find that though, but the subconscious, and I know I'm not, and I know, but the subconscious will look for that reference, say, yeah, but you slept with guys. So that's, I realized all this is coming up, and I was like, because they were all flooding back to anything that was hooked on that, right? And
that's right.
When they fired together, they wired together. But then I'm like, because I was on that wave of my mom thinking that, and when I get on that, it's more of it to keep me stuck. I'm not moving forward, to not, you know, living out success, because we have such a long history and her never wanting me to do well or be well. So it's like this, I'll then just start looking for reasons of why I'm not, I can't be.
That's it. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So they all start flooding.
That's it. Spot on. That is exactly it, Ashley. And so well done, first of all, for realizing that. And then
I'm aware of it, and and I know it, and I've worked in this field. Like I taught it, but I just felt like recently it started flooding me, and I'm like, oh no, this is not where I want to be going.
That's right, and it can become overwhelming. So what the end result you're aiming for is that your mum, you want to change, and Steve will take you through this in the program, of course. You want to change your mum's childhood and possibly her parents' childhoods, because the reason she did that will be there's something in her past.
Yes, it is with her mom. Yeah.
And so that's what you're aiming for, to get to a point where it's all different. Your mum was different, your childhood was different, and it all supports what you want now. So good job. Well done. I'm proud of you, sweetheart.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome, love. All right. And let's go to the chat. Hi, everyone. I have so Cara has a target. My daughter, who'll have a dentist appointment on Wednesday, she might have to have an accidented tooth pulled out. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce that, sorry. And she's only 5R. I'm really stressed about it. I just hope it goes well for her. I'm sending ESC, unconditional love, but soon feel the stress in my stomach. Okay, so Steve, can you add that to the thank you? Very good. And then Lisa, I have a target request for everyone to have financial abundance overflowing in general. Ah, that's lovely, Lisa. Thank you for that. So I don't know if you've got that on the list, Steve. Thank you. You have to learn shorthand. And Kara says, my mum is the same. I can tell her 10 times the same thing. It won't change a thing because of what she holds inside. So now I don't bother anymore. LOL. Okay, so yeah, with people like that, you know, make sure you're in your unconditional love state and just fill it all with unconditional love. So what I did with my mum was I made sure that, and she was living with me at the time, and I just maintained my superpower state all the time. And when she said, you know, when she did things like that, I could see that it was just the programs. And so when she said, what, you don't think so? And I would just say, no, I do. I think it's great. And I'd keep that, maintain that unconditional love state. So whereas before I would go, I just said, I would be triggered. But so Kara says, thanks, Lisa. I'll second that one. That's good. Some good ones for Lisa there. Carrie says, my weekend was interesting. And in spite of that, I was able to maintain my superpower all day long yesterday. Oh, well done. And when I woke up this morning, it was still near enough to summon at will. Good job. I have a request for a target. Please send love to my daughter's father. He's kind of losing his mind to hallucinations. It's weird, and you may use my name. Okay, good. So, all right. So if we could put Carrie's daughter's dad on the list, please. Thank you. And well done, Carrie, for maintaining your superpower. Good job. And then someone else says, following writing due justice on the domineering parent, do you initially start to write a new childhood based on eliminating that feature which you covered in the due justice, i.e. domineering parent, to the opposite, and then gradually looking at another aspect so it becomes the opposite of what happened? Yes, but piece by piece. Do you do the superpower before doing due justice or after? So the answer to, so I'll answer that in order. So the first thing is yes, so you do want to do the new childhood. What you want to do as well is with the domineering parent, change their childhood to the opposite, positive and empowering, so that they were taken care of, looked after, because the reason they're domineering is based on their programming from their childhood experiences. So when you change that, then it's easier to change them. You can imagine them being a different kind of person, a kind, compassionate, understanding, enthusiastic, supportive kind of person who respects you and treasures you. So that's the first bit. And then the second bit, and then, so yes, and then change your childhood in that way, making sure that that parent is kind and compassionate, so the opposite of domineering. And then as for doing the superpower, I actually wouldn't do the superpower before the due justice letter. And the reason for that is because you want the negative emotions up there so you can get them out, so you can write them. But certainly do it afterwards. So, and it doesn't need to be directly afterwards, you know, have a sleep first, do what feels good. So after you finish the letter, you've torn it up and thrown it away or burnt it or whatever, or you've kept it because you want to read it later, that's also okay. That's what I did with mine. Then you go to sleep and allow your brain to process what you've just expressed. And then when you wake up, get into that superpower state. So I hope that helps to answer your question. Carrie says, I was the same way with sports, Boguswava. I always hated the running warm-up. It felt pedantic. Yes, and yeah, and you know, I think a lot of us do that. I know for me with singing, you know, doing the warm-up before, I just want to sing the songs, but when I was doing gigs, I had to do a proper, good, thorough warm-up, and that was definitely my least favorite part of the process. So I think it is natural to a certain extent, but of course you don't want it to control you. So you want to still go, yeah, I don't enjoy the warm-up so much, but I do it because it's necessary and it's okay. I mean, probably brushing teeth sometimes feels a little bit like, nah, I got to brush my teeth, but we do it anyway. So let's have a look. We got some targets. Kara says, sorry, my native language is French. Yes, and I'm not very good with some pronunciations of words, so I wasn't sure if it was just me. So is the superpower the light exercise? Yes, it is. So with the unconditional love. So the beginner's exercise is the thing of imagine holding something in someone in your arms in a hug, and then you spread the light throughout your body and fill your cells and all that. It kicks into superpower when you're able to imagine your subject not wanting to be with you or trying to get away, and you keep that power, keep them filled with that light, that power, that love. You love them anyway. It's the unconditional bit, that makes it powerful. So you get into that state where you're going to love everything anyway, no matter what. And that's your power. That's shining light into darkness. So hopefully that explains that. And then please use my first name only. Okay. And please add to the target list. So if we can add to the target list for Kara, I was in a trance for the past few days that I am abandoned and alone. Couldn't access the superpower. Okay, haven't found any childhood memory for that, but we'll start practicing the superpower more often today. Okay, very good. So well done for reaching out with that target. So Steve, if you could add that to the list, please. And in addition to that, yes, prioritize. So when you are able to get into the superpower state, of course, you'll be able to have your prefrontal cortex online, so you'll be able to probably find those childhood memories in that. In the meantime, if you can't get into the superpower state, just imagine hugging the little you if you can. Just give that child a hug, because the one that's feeling abandoned and alone is the child in you. And so whenever you feel that, and that goes for everybody, whenever you feel those feelings of abandoned, alone, rejected, betrayed, all of those things, it's the child in you that's feeling that. So a stepping stone can be to just imagine hugging that little child and reassuring them that you're with them at the very least. Okay, and that they are worthy and whatever else they need to hear. So I hope that helps as well. And that seems to be it. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do the targeting. All right, so take a deep breath, close your eyes, and go into your superpower state however you do that. So either by using your word or phrase, or by imagining hugging your subject. And allow that, feel that feeling in your heart, allow your heart to expand. Imagine that light or energy shining out from your heart. And imagine it filling your whole body, down to your toes and up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips, so you're full of that light, that energy. Fill each of the cells of your body with that same light or energy. Love each cell just for existing. Now imagine the little you in front of you and fill that little you with that same light, that energy. Imagine that light or energy filling that little you from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love that little you just for existing. And allow that feeling, that light or energy, that power to overflow from that little you and fill your whole childhood. Everything and everyone in your childhood, fill it all with that love, that light. Shine the light into the darkness. Very good. And now fill your subject with that same light or energy. Imagine your subject being filled with it. And now imagine that they don't want to be with you, or they're miserable, or whatever the case may be, and maintain that light or energy. Keep them filled with it and love them anyway, no matter what. Very, very good. All right, and now let's go to Wanda. Let's fill Wanda with that same light or energy from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's now full of that light, that energy. Love Wanda just for existing. And now think of the pain, the physical pain that Wanda has, and fill that with the same light, that energy. Love the pain anyway, exactly as it is, whether it changes or not. Very, very good. And now let's go to Caro and fill Caro with that same light or energy from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Caro just for existing. Now imagine that light or energy overflowing from Caro and filling her daughter, 5 years old. Fill that little girl with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's full of that love, that light. And think of the tooth, going to the dentist, and see that little girl filled with that beautiful light, that energy at the dentist. And allow that light or energy to overflow from her and fill the dentist and the whole dentist's office, so everything is full of that light, that energy. Love it all anyway, no matter what. Very good. All right, and now let's go to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that same light or energy from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's now full of that light, that energy. And now imagine that light or energy filling whatever Katrina's dealing with. Whatever it is to do with the promise, the other people involved, the situation, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love. Love it all anyway, no matter what. And let's go to Katrina as a child and fill that little girl with that light, that energy, that love, that power. See that power shining out from her, filling everything else. And her ability to heal herself and others, see it all being filled with love and light and energy coming from her heart. Very good job. Now let's go over to Boguslava, Tina, and fill her with that same love, that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips, so she's now full of that light, that energy. Love her just for existing. Very good. And now to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light or energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's now full of that light, that energy, and love Lisa just for existing. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Lisa and fill everyone's finances. Lisa's target was for financial abundance, overflowing in general, for everyone in the group. So share that light, that energy, send it to everyone in the group's finances. No matter what, love it all anyway, shine that light into any darkness. Feel that expansion. Very, very good. And now let's go over to Cheryl and fill Cheryl with that same love, that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head, so she's now full of that light, that energy, that love. Love Cheryl just for existing. And now Cheryl's target, so let's aim at Cheryl's memory. Whatever's there, however her memory is working, love it all anyway. Fill those parts of her brain that are related to the memory with that light, that energy, that love. Love it all anyway. And now to the hospice workers that Cheryl was talking about earlier. Fill that whole hospice with that light, that love, that energy. Fill the whole place and everyone in it. See them all being filled with that light or energy. Love everyone just for existing and no matter what. Very good. And now over to Ashley. Fill Ashley with that same light, that love, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Fill Ashley with that same light, that love. Love Ashley just for existing. And fill Ashley's family with that same light or energy. Love them all just for existing no matter what. Good job. And now let's go to Caro. Fill Caro with that same, we've done Caro. Let's go to Carrie. Fill Carrie with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's now full of that light, that energy. Love Carrie just for existing. Now allow that light or energy to overflow from Carrie and fill her daughter's father with that same love, that light, that energy. Whether he's hallucinating or not, fill it all with that love, that light, that energy. Love him just for existing. Very good. And now to Kara. Fill Kara with that same light, that energy, that love. Love Kara just for existing. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. And whether she feels abandoned and alone or not, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love. And let's allow that light or energy to overflow from Kara and fill the little her, the child, with that same light, that energy, that love. Wherever it's coming from, wherever the abandonment and feelings of being alone are coming from, fill it all with love. Shine that light into the darkness. Very good. And now to the person who has, with the domineering parent, fill that person with that same light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head, out to their fingertips. So they're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Love that person just for existing. And allow that light or energy to overflow from them and fill their parent, the domineering parent, with the same light, energy, the love, no matter what, shining light into that darkness. And now let's fill everyone else who's on the call but doesn't have their camera on, who's incognito. Let's fill all of them with that same light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love them all just for existing. And then I have a target of someone who's ill. We could just fill him with that same light, that energy, that love, exactly as he is, no matter what happens. Whether he heals or not, love him anyway. Filled with that light, that energy, that love. Very good. And now for anyone watching the recording, fill them with that same light or energy, that love. Love them all anyway, just for existing. Very, very good. And you can open your eyes. I hope I remembered everyone's targets. And how's everyone doing? Tina, did you want to say something? You look like you want to say something.
You missed my target.
Did I? What was? I'm so sorry. What was yours?
The exercise.
The exercise. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. So go back into your superpower state. Back into your superpower state, everyone. Good job. And now let's fill Boguswava with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head, out to her fingertips. Love Boguswava just for existing. And now think about the exercise and fill all of that with that same light, that energy. Whether she wants to exercise or not, love it all anyway. Shine that light into the darkness, no matter what. And think of the Boguswava who is exercising and the one who's not exercising, and love all of it anyway, no matter what. Very good. And you can open your eyes. Thank you for reminding me, Boguswava. Yeah, I know what it was. I got distracted with doing the Tina thing. Boguswava Tina. I forgot. All right, very good. And so any questions or anything before we end for today? Cheryl says, you inspired me today to exercise. Yay, Tina. Very good. That's great to hear, love. Someone says, I yawn a lot. Is it normal? Yes, it is very normal, especially to begin with. So as you're kind of making changes, but even when you're not, very often I yawn as well still. So it's just extra, your brain and body needing extra oxygen. So that's good. Very, very good, everyone. Well done. And so continue practicing, continue to do the target practice. Katrina, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the target is for me that I have to be 100% willing to forgive him, even if he does not change. Is that?
So it's not really even about forgiving. It's about going, you know, you don't forgive the cat for killing the mouse. You don't, it just, that's what it does, right? There's no forgiveness. You don't have to forgive. You just have to go, I shine the light into the darkness. So there's no excusing what anyone did. There's no saying, well, it's okay for them to do it. It's shining light into darkness. Does that clarify it?
Is that it?
Yep. Yep. So you want to be able to fill that person with love exactly as they are, no matter what, without needing to forgive.
Okay.
Does that help?
That seems easier.
Good. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Hopefully.
Yes. And also writing the letter, the due justice letter, if you need to, and changing those childhood. Once you've changed those childhood memories, it will be easier anyway.
Yeah, but it's finding them. I have no recollection. It's all sort of adult thing.
And that's okay. So if the adult one is the only one you can remember and you can't remember anything before that, then go with that, change that first. And as you do that, you may find childhood, you suddenly go, oh, I remember now. Oh, it must be that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, work backwards.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Good job. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Very good. All right. And anything else? Some hugs for people and thank yous. Very good. Thank you. Lisa says, thank you so much. Beautiful session as usual. It's so wonderful to love such precious souls in this group. I am very lucky, and we are very lucky to have you too, Lisa. Thank you for saying that. And Cheryl says, our group is growing in love as well. Yes, it is. Carrie says, all of you are awesome. And Kara says, thank you all for the love and hugs. I really felt it. That's wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Such a pleasure to spend time with you. And of course, keep practicing, keep doing the target practice, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye now. Lots of love.